Call all Yamla Yahweh Shemal Shai Bishop Hakadash and giving double honor to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone, who well, peace and salutations elect. All praise and honor glory to the Most High Yahweh and His only begotten Son Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Spirit Holy, which are uttered in the Paleo Hebrew, ancient language that has been returned unto us Hebrew Israelites, that we can call upon a power of one consent. First, Hebrew Israelites consist of so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and it's the elect of them, 144,000 prophets, starting with them, and the rest of the remnant of the 1/3 that will believe on this side and will be delivered from the coming destruction. Of course, if they do, of course, perish by the way of martyrdom, their works do follow them, and they'll be first to be, of course, coming back with Yahweh Shai. So, Shemal Mop and Samapa from the Great Millstone Plaintables Camp of Philadelphia. Double honors as always to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Well, elect. So we have it here, News and Prophecy. I believe Zaquan Yasharwamba put up, which is the spirit, because I was watching a video the other day and I had brought up at the street teaching about how the ICE spies, which this is a particular cabinet under the Department of Homeland Security, how they spy on American citizens and have these different information that they've been collecting is being used for their use, okay, for targeting the Israelites, okay. They got data broken going on, facial recognition, and then they even as they say, they even targeting so-called non-immigrants with this technology. And you have it where we are definitely moving into that super severe draconian law stage of prophecy, okay, in which you have Jacob Trouble, which the Israelites are going to be under heavy persecution and tribulation. It's going to be great numbers going to be taken away, from this earth. All right, judgment will start here at the house of the Lord. All right, the Israelites. So you have it here. Elder Yashawamba said, tech billionaires are weaponizing your data to power war, surveillance, and global control. I didn't watch it, but it's the spirit, because like I said, I was watching this video, and they have various forms, and this off of Wired. They got so-called U.S. citizens arrested by federal agents. Okay, you're monitoring the things you're speaking on social media. Things are being flagged and reported. Okay, and it's monitored, okay, by these different entities. Now, also, we just play this, and also fair use warning. This is for educational purpose only. It's not any monetary gain only. Wired. They're gonna break down how the ICE is using this technology. You get Jake.
One of the first ways you might think of ICE impacting you is surveillance. Facial recognition is one of the ways we know that ICE is targeting pretty much anybody they come across who they find suspicious. Immigration officials have long used facial recognition at the border, but now agents can use it right on their phones. Using an app called Mobile Fortify, they can just point their camera at you and run your face through a bunch of different databases that does identity verification on the fly. So why is this a problem? Well, first of all, Mobile Fortify, like other facial recognition systems, has a margin of error.
And that's another thing, because it's technology, it's not 100% perfect, but you have it where They're using these forms of technology as a way to authenticate your identity. Okay, and if you're caught up in it, it's like, okay, well, you gotta figure that out with the courts. Okay, but we're gonna do our jobs ourselves right now. So you gotta be very, very, very mindful and careful out there, because Satan is hunting. Okay, and Esau, which is Edom, he's a cunning hunter. Okay, this is blessed. This is the book of Genesis chapter 25 and 27. And the boys grew, and Esau, which is waste away as he, Joshua, was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. Jacob, which is progenitor of the 12 tribes of Israel, and was a plain man dwelling in tents. Okay, he knows how to hunt. Okay, and that's what identify whether you die, being skilled, acquainted with, and he's using technology to perceive, to find out and discern who Jake is. Okay, but it has its flaws. Just like a hunter, he can mistake something for some animal for something else. That can happen. Okay, but you gotta be mindful of Satan. Alright? Which Esau is the physical counterpart for the spiritual demon Satan. Alright? See something real quick. This is gonna be the book of Revelation. It's also in Daniel. Chapter 7. Right, in 8 it says, "Now, and I considered the horns, and beheld there came up among them another little horn in America, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots." Alright, Spanish, British, and the French. Alright, or those first horns that were plucked up by the roots. "And behold, in his horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things." Alright, and hey, via his science, the pseudoscience and such, he goes about and accuses you. Hey, you have your technology to automatically classify you as a criminal, even if it not be you who they're authenticating you as. Okay, and that's that categorizing. All right, and that's that pursuit, that violent man. You gotta beware. Scriptures give us warning. All right, this is Lamentation chapter 4 and 17. It says, "As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us." Okay? In these days, you have it. Most people are looking for Esau, Edom, to save them, to deliver them from, these different turmoils and different adversities, hardships that are going on within the country. You know, a lot of them have trusted in, you know, the different political parties, okay? And they can't save you, you know, at the end of the day. Going on, it says, they hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near, our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. Okay, and hey, this has happened in times past, and hey, will happen again, and it is happening again. You know, and you have it. Yeah, like a lot of you know, Jake Israelites, you know, they won't be able to go into the streets because they go outside and they're being identified as a criminal, being affiliated with some type of gang, you know, culture, you know, or just being someone that is a rapist, you know, some type of criminal, you know, straight up. Okay, let's look at the rhetoric, you know, the press secretary that she just pushes, you know, the thoughts of the Edomites, you know, her counterparts. Okay, so definitely things are about to change and are changing. Okay, you know, these different immigration agents are relying on this technology, you know, but frequently they generate false matches and results of a number of wrongful arrests across the country. You know, they can use that as that false positive as a means to send you to another country, you know, that you have no ties with. It's cruel.
It means it can bring up false positives, so the app might identify you as being somebody who you're not, and maybe that person is a hardened criminal who's in the US illegally, and you might get detained. The other issue is what we call...
That's another reason why they're going to come with that C-hip, too. You know, that Revelation 13, they're going to 16. You know, that mark. The right hand and the forehead. I'm roughly paraphrasing.
All surveillance creep. This means that powerful surveillance tools are being used in more and more ways and is becoming normalized. It might be ICE agents using it today, but you can imagine a situation where a police officer is standing on a corner and just pointing his phone at everybody, trying to catch a criminal. Now, you might think this kind of surveillance isn't a big deal, and you might think, hey, if cops are catching more criminals, that's great. The problem is that once a surveillance power is introduced, it's very rare that it gets taken away. While you might agree with the law enforcement actions of one administration, another administration might have totally different priorities and totally different targets. As we see in all types of situations, technology moves faster than laws. As of now, there's no federal law regulating the use of facial recognition by ICE.
That's one thing about technology. You know, it becomes optimized, you know. You know, the action of making the best or most effective use of a situation or resource, and you could say it in technology. You have it. Optimization of technology is the process of fine-tuning IT systems, process, or a piece of software to improve its performance efficiency, and effectiveness while minimizing resource consumption. You know, and yeah, you know, they're innovating things, and you know, we see all things lead to the C-hip. In chapter 12, it says here, verse 4, it says, "But thou, O Daniel, which is a prophet, whom the Lord shared various secrets to," it says, "shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." Yeah, through this technology. Okay, and you know, the scriptures say even how, you know, thou art wiser than Daniel, like with Esau. You know, and hey, look at how this man used this technology. You know, they talk about in like they show in this man boasts of all his different wicked plots and schemes, Numa, and in the movie Annan, it showed, they call it science fiction, the use of different technology and such. Near future, humanity lives in a technologically advanced dystopian society. All right, that's what it's heading for. All right, the government requires that everyone receive a ocular implant. All right, that records everything they see. All right, the implant, it provides an augmented reality head-up display to user with information about anyone and anything that they may see, as well as recording the user's view. All right, and they show you that also in like Watch Dogs and stuff like that. They show you of these things. Really how they are gonna, use all this technology. Okay. Hey, just have it where a person take a C-hip and they're, via their iris is recording all that they do, and then it reports, what they do. They want to read your thoughts. It's a lot of things. So hey, things are really, like I said, these properties are speaking, man. So again, there ain't no laws that express or regulate the use of FRT, all right, or other AI by federal governments. No constitutional provisions govern its use, so they can do what they're doing.
Or any other law enforcement agency. ICE's use of data brokers is another form of digital surveillance. ICE isn't just buying data one-off. They also have contracts with data brokers like LexisNexis, which gives thousands of agents access to all types of data about anyone they're targeting. This means they know who you
So there you go, look.
are, who you know, who your family members are, what your criminal history is, whether you own a boat or a car. All this information is readily available to ICE for anyone who they want to target. ICE is making use of something called the data broker loophole, which allows the agency to just buy data that they might otherwise have to obtain through a subpoena or a warrant. ICE has reportedly used the data broker loophole to get around Colorado's sanctuary cities laws, which prevent local police from sharing information with the agency. ICE was able to just buy data on targets rather than getting it through a process that involves judicial review.
There you go, man. Your man being very, very crafty. Again, part of Esau Edom's abilities. Genesis chapter 3 and 1. Now the serpent, that same spirit within Esau. All right. Same within the spirit within this that serpent, which was a clever man who practiced divination within the garden. All right. Now the serpent, it wasn't a physical serpent. All right. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast. All right, other nations of the field, which Yahweh power had made. And he said unto the woman, yet had Elohim said, or power said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. All right. Point being, the serpent was more subtle. Okay, and you're going to subtle, he's prudent and sly and crafty, he's sensible. He's using his technology, to get around, getting, obtaining different permissions from judges and, etc. in sanctuary cities, which in these sanctuary cities, they would reject a lot of of course, the pursuits that IC is doing, right? Because they'll say that, we are saying this is a sanctuary for them, safe haven and such, where they won't be, enforcement, won't be pursued, but they are pursuing it. The federal executive orders, coming down from, Esau Edom in the presidential office, Donald Trump, pushing forth that harassment, and that capturing of, the Hebrew Israelites, of the northern and southern kingdom, both. Just even going after the Latinos, first, and then going down on different of the other tribes, so-called Negro tribes, West Indian Haitians, right? Yeah. So yeah, man, they're using these technology to get around it, buying data, circumvent the Fourth Amendment guarantees of protection. All right, but right for privacy or something like that. All right. You got the protect individuals from unreasonable searches and seizure by the government, requiring a warrant-based probable cause to justify such actions. So they circumventing that. All right. So that's that through the spirit. Watch out for E. He's out there on his hunt. We gotta beware. Because he bear not the sword in vain. So, shalom to the elect.